You are listening to Community Heroes Table Talk, where we talk with people and share their stories about their disability. And now for your host, Tyrone Starkey. Welcome back to Community Heroes Table Talk. In today's episode, we have the privilege to interview a coach from Fort Oaks Middle School, RJ. How are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. How are you doing, man? How's
I'm
everybody doing?
I'm doing good. Can
Good.
you, can you tell us a little bit of how you got started coaching?
Okay, well, I love sports. I have loved sports since I was a kid. I played, like a lot of people, you play t-ball, you grow up and you play every sport. And even in high school, when I finished and I knew I wasn't going to play sports anymore, I knew I wanted to coach. And so that became a dream of mine to actually be a coach one day. Of course, life happens, and I started, in the business world, um, working tremendous hours, and I didn't have time to coach. Well, one day I decided, you know what? I do not want to live this lifestyle anymore. I want to teach. I want to go after my dreams. I want to coach, and that's what I did. And I got an interview to become a teacher, and I walked in that interview, walked out a teacher, and as I was leaving the front doors, the head football coach stopped me and said, "Hey, did you ever play football?" And I went, "Well, yeah, I did." He goes, "What did you do?" I said, "Well, I was a lineman." He goes, "I'm looking for an offensive line coach. Can we talk?" So we're talking, and he looked at me at the end of the interview, and he goes, "Look, I'd really like to bring you on the team and have you coach football with us." So, I mean, you want to talk about a dream come true? I go in and interview to become a teacher, and I come out a varsity football coach all in the same day. So um, I left that building in tears, not in front of them by any means, but by the time I got to my car, I was just like, I can't believe this is happening to me. And then from there, I just started coaching other sports. I've had the privilege of coaching football, swimming, tennis, wrestling. This year I'm doing track. So you know what? When you love sports, you are willing to coach anything just to be part of it. And I just love being out there.
Can you talk about how your football background of being a player has helped you as a coach for football?
It's funny because everyone thinks football has changed so much, and I mean it has, but the techniques are, the basic techniques stay the same. So blocking when I was in high school is basically the same blocking now. I mean, there's a few little different rule changes, but you know, when you play for 12, 13 years, and all that just comes back to you. Having a background, but I don't have a background in wrestling. Um, and we had championship wrestling teams, or conference championship wrestling teams. Um, I had a background in swimming, a background in tennis. So I played those sports, and of course, having knowledge of the game is always beneficial. But as a coach, there's so much more than just knowing the game. It's being able to communicate with the team, getting the best out of them in every situation. That's the trick. You can have a great team that knows how to do everything, but if they're not motivated to play, they're not going to win. You've got to inspire the players. You got to give them a reason to go out there.
Can you talk about for our audience, since it's a disability audience, How have you ever worked with people that have like a mental disability or a physical disability when it came to sports?
I can say that, and I'm going to give them a shout out at Acock High School, where I coached for 7 years. We worked very well with people that maybe had some mental disabilities. And not only were they, we just didn't let them be managers. They actually played on the team. They suited up, and if we could get them out there in a game, we got them out there. Now, they had to meet some physical demands, and have some basic knowledge and skills. But if they meant some of those basic skills, we got them out there, because it's not fair to them not to play. I just think it's very important, because it changed their lives. I see these young men now working in other places, and they come up to me and say, "Hey, do you remember that one run I did? Do you remember this one I did?" And I do, because it's so important to them. That's stuff that they're going to take with them the rest of their life. It changed their life. And coaching, especially in high school and middle school, is not about winning all the time. It's about educating the youth of how to communicate, how to live, how to never give up, and how to be a good person, and to go after things that they want. And it doesn't just have to be someone who is, mentally able to do everything. You can have some disabilities and still go out there and accomplish so much in life. And that's what we want. That's what we wanted at Acock High School. We wanted to give everybody the opportunity to achieve a dream. And I think we did a pretty good job at that.
When it comes to like achieving your dream and getting the players to play, do you have to, like, for example, before the game, like tell the opponent coach like, hey, we might have a player, like, for example, that has a severe disability. He might be coming in the game, so just like his number is like 13, just like take it easy on 13.
If you hit a key word right there, severe. If it's a severe disability, yes. But most of the time, we didn't, because their disabilities were not to the point where they could not be part of the game in a realistic manner. Does that
Okay,
make sense?
so it was more of like a learning disability, like
Exactly.
what I have.
Yes, yes. So it would be a learning this, but they would know, again, we would teach them enough to know the basics of the game. And okay, if we're going to give you the ball, this is where you go. And that's what they did. They learned, okay, I'm getting the ball. This is where I go. This is what I do. And I just thought it was awesome. I did tell one coach one time that we had someone coming in with a severe disability. And of course, they let him score, and the dude could fly. I mean, I was like, I don't even know why I told the coach that. He was outrunning everyone anyway. I mean, the guy just took off around the court. I was like, I didn't know he was that fast. Did you guys know he was that fast? I didn't know he was that fast. But he looked like he was running for his life.
When it comes to players that have learning disabilities, is there a way for y'all to adapt the playbook? For example, only give him
Oh
like
yeah. Oh yeah.
certain amount of plays than, let's say,
Well,
your
you
star
know,
running back.
you've got to be you've got to make sure they stay safe. Um, and when you have a mental disability, sometimes you might not be able to comprehend some of the things that are going on, or seeing the whole aspect at one time, and people can get hurt when that happens. And so you've got to break the game down a little bit more and not give them 5 or 6 things to look at the same time. You know, it's okay, I'm going to hand you the ball here and you run there. And that's what they did. And I hope I'm not in this interview trying to simplify what's going on. I don't want anyone to think that. I want people to understand it's very important to have anyone that wants to play a game. It doesn't have to be football. It can be track. It can be anything. But if they have the physical ability to go out there and have the mental capacity to do it, they should be allowed to do it. Now, in saying that, we have to alter the way we teach it and alter the way they play a little bit in order to meet that need for them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you had people, like, for example, let's say if somebody has asthma that can't run like a 40-yard dash or 40 yards, have you had where, like, for example, you might have your star running back run 40 yards, tell him, like, don't try to run out of bounds, but run out of bounds so we can put Jimmy in, who needs some playing time, that has asthma,
You
that
know
can't.
what? It really depends on the situation of the game. I mean, there's, and in high school, yeah, you know, and I know I said earlier, it's not always about winning because you want to teach young men how to be young men and how to be men when they get older and how to treat people. But you have to win too. You know, it's the game. That's why it's a game. You want to win. So if it was a close game, we're going to keep our star athletes. We're going to keep our starters in there. Now, if it's a game to where we're winning by a lot or we're losing by a lot, we're going to give more people playing time. So it really depends on the situation of the game.
Can you talk about more of your upcoming middle school and how that has been for you?
It's been crazy because we can't play. I mean, my first year coaching middle school, the only thing I've done on the football field is mow the grass. So, I've talked to some of the players the best I can because, again, they haven't been in school, so I can't see them. So the ones that are in my classes, they talk to me about playing football, this and that. And, we want to get out there and do some drills. And I know they're able to do that in high school, but middle school, not able to do that right now. So it's a little frustrating, but it's something I completely understand. But I do like the fact that we are at this point still going to play starting in February. So it's changed a little bit, but we're going to play in February and March this year, which to me is great. I'm a big dude. Being out there in the sun during the summer is horrible. So, hey, put me in the winter months and let me play. I'm okay with that. Give me a hoodie on the sideline. I'm ready to go.
For your middle school, as you're just now entering, have you had somebody, like, for example, me, whenever I was at Norway, I asked the head coach, like, hey, like, I tried out for the team, didn't make it, due to my disability. But I was like, hey, I wanted to be involved in football, Have you had that experience yet where, like...
I have not had it from the students, but I have had it from some of the teachers. And I assured those teachers that when we start, they need to let me know who the students are and that we're going to do everything we can to make sure that they're part of the program.
That's amazing, because that's where I got my start from, was back at Norway. Coach Jernigan, I went up to him one day and I was like, hey, this was like, I also tried out, but I looked at that 53-man roster. My name wasn't on that 53-man roster. But I was like, hey, I love football. You want to look for a manager? He says, sure.
That's awesome. And you know, I think any good coach does stuff like that. You know, we want to make sure that people, when you love something and you want to be part of it, coaches, I'm going to say I've never met a coach at the high school or middle school level who has not done everything they possibly can to get people to be part of it within reason. I mean, if you have 100 people trying out and you can only keep 50, there's only so much you can do. I totally get that. But with we every coach that I know does everything we possibly can to get as many people out there and involved with the sport that they love as much as possible.
As a former sports marketing teacher, how has sports marketing impacted the disability community? Like, have you seen more people in the disability community get into sports marketing?
Well, Brandon, you're kind of an example, aren't you?
Yes.
Um, I mean, yeah, you took sports marketing 1 and 2. Is that correct?
Yes, I did. And I
Yeah,
was
and
going to take business law, but of
yeah,
course, my time at ACOC ran up.
yeah. So you know, in business two and sports marketing 2 was an honors program, um, and you did well in that class. Um, I think you know I have had, and I've been truly blessed that I've had students come back and talk to me about you know things that I taught them have really helped them either in college or go to a next level. And some actually, you know, I can name about 4 or 5 that are actually going into sports. It might not just be marketing, but they saw in my class all the different aspects of sports marketing and what's everything's involved. And I think as a young person, you think all you can do is play. What my goal was in sports marketing was to get everyone to also understand there's so much money in sports that they have to have people to help manage that money and make more money, and marketing is one way to do that. And there's just so many jobs in sports, like sports announcers, commentators. They even got fantasy sports now. I mean, it's just crazy. And if you love sports, there's a way for you to get involved in it and make money.
What advice would you give somebody like with a disability, a impaired disability that cannot be like physically in the sport but want to work for a sport?
Well, and it depends. I mean, if they're young, I would tell them, you know, go out there and see if you can be a manager. Do whatever you can. Help on the sidelines. Be the water boy. You know, do whatever you can. I mean, if you really want to be a part of it, you're going to want to do some of those jobs. I mean, I tell people all the time, hey, if the Panthers called me up and said, hey, Mr. Allen, we need a water boy out there on the Panther sideline this weekend. You willing to do it? You better be. Yes, I'm ready to do it. Here's water. I'd be a great water boy, you know? So, you know, I would do it for a college game. You know, I've done it for high school games, you know, and I'm a coach. But when you give someone the opportunity to be part of a sport and they turn that opportunity down because they think it's beneath them, they really don't want to be part of that sport.
Do you see more more sports for disability people coming in the future? Like, for example, there's like
Here's,
Paralympic sports and stuff.
I think, and I got to be careful saying this, I think people, I'm trying to find a good word, stop people with disabilities because of their disability. They just assume they can't do certain things. And I'm scared to say parents probably are bad at that sometimes, especially in football, because they don't want to see their kids get hurt. In wrestling, they don't want to see their kids get hurt. And I totally get that. I totally get that. But I also think if their son or daughter wants to be part of something, go out and talk to that coach and find out how they can be part of something. And then with that, the other sports programs after high school will expand. So yes, if we can encourage people with disabilities and mental disabilities to go out and stop listening, and I know, and I got to be very careful with that, but stop listening to everyone that tell them what they can't do, to go out and do it anyway. They're going to realize that they don't have a disability, that they're unique, and that they can use that disability as a slingshot to put them somewhere else, because they see things a little differently. You get people that are just normal and they go through life normally. You get to someone who has to look at life in a different perspective because they can't do or see the things that normal people can do. They can end up being much better than normal people.
That's great advice. I know that football is like more of a contact sport, but do you see that they maybe will change to a wheelchair football and less contact, like maybe
They could have a
touch?
flag.
Yeah, like
they could
flag
have a
football.
flag, something like that. And that just depends, again, if you have enough people that want to do it. I mean, we're in 2020. Anything's possible. I mean, 2020, anything's possible. Good gracious. So I don't know. I think it would be cool if someone tried to do something like that. And instead of maybe 11 people, they knocked it down to 5 or 6 or maybe 8. They could scale it down a little bit. But look, one thing if there's a will, there's a way. If someone wants to do it bad enough and they can get enough people involved, it can happen.
What other ways can people with a disability get involved in sports?
I don't know. I think we've talked about a lot of them. It's just, get over the fear of them not being able to achieve something. Fear will hold someone back from going after something they want. And I think people with disabilities are fearful of being embarrassed. I think they already know that they're a little different. So why go out there and make it known to everybody else and embarrass themselves? And I think overcoming that fear will change their life. You got to stop worrying about what everyone thinks about you and worry about what they can be, what they can do. So I think the biggest thing is getting over the fear of being ostracized.
Mallory, Tyrone, do you have anything else to add?
Nope. No. I just want to say, I want to say thanks again for RJ for taking time out to always speak with us, and I definitely appreciate it.
Oh, I love being part of it, man, guys. Thank you so much.
You can find Community Heroes Table Talk on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you again for listening to Community Heroes Table Talk. See you in the next episode. You are watching Community Heroes. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Community Heroes on social media and on YouTube.